Hey all, Hyuga here, and we're back in the Hyuga, one of the, well, actually the best battleship at tier 5 and one of the best battleships in the entire game. Because actually I looked at my Hyuga stats the other day and they are better than my Yamato stats, which is quite amazing actually. In this ship I have a kill death ratio of almost 7. But anyway, as you can see, we got the right flank here, and if you notice how I'm positioning my battleship here, I'm putting it in such a way that I can cover both B and A, because something very infuriating, especially when I play cruisers on this map here, are battleships who position themselves between A and B out in the open water without a really good shot at either cap, and that's just like a very nice way of losing this map here, because this is Shards, one of the most difficult maps in the game, and if you don't fully grasp the game and positioning and the different abilities of ships, you're gonna be taken out very, very quickly on this map here, because it's well, it's ruthless. There's no room for mistakes here. So I can see here how I am, you know, putting myself in a position so I can cover this cap here. Like, of course, A is primary, because you can see there's a cruiser heading in now. And that's what I always want when I play cruiser. I want a battleship out here in this position that can cover all entrances into the cap. It's so important. Don't sit behind one of those islands where you are like inefficient and you can't cover 2 of the 3 entrances, for example. That's useless. So in this way here, I have a shot at everyone entering the cap, and I can help my team out actually winning it. And also, yeah, there's a destroyer here, and he's like 7 kilometers away. I don't panic, and I don't immediately turn around and, you know, go somewhere where there's absolutely no need to go, just to escape the potential torpedoes of this Asashio here. I mean, he already shot at me, and I knew he was there, and I mean, that's just what you have to accept as a battleship. I mean, I see that all the time. As soon as there's a destroyer spotted, then the battleships panic and they turn around, and that's when they're really easy to torp, first of all. If you just, you know, stand your ground and, you know, put a little bit of trust in yourself and your teammates, like, destroyers aren't that bad in a battleship. They really aren't. In this case here, the cruiser spotted the destroyer, and I was in a perfect position to back him up, and together we removed the threat very, very quickly. Had there been a battleship here, I would have been able to cover the cruiser as well. And that's also what I'm doing now. I'm trying to get these guys off the cruiser's back, because we don't need any more reinforcements over here. In the beginning, the destroyer, the unlucky destroyer, red destroyer over here, he got left by most of his teammates. So he did have a bit of an uphill struggle to capture this cap here. But at least he tried, and he didn't just, you know, turn around and go somewhere else. Like, kudos for that. Because that happens a lot also, especially on this map here. Like, people just don't know how to play it. I think that's the main problem. This is a map that rewards aggressiveness. If you're timid, or if you're sitting back and, you know, like doing the classic, oh, I'm just gonna see how things go before I commit, well, that's usually the wrong play on this map here. Like I said, this is a difficult map, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna be absolutely punished on this map. So as you saw, what I did in the beginning here was I positioned myself in such a way that I can primarily cover A, that's more important, but also B in case I don't have nothing and I don't have anything to shoot at A, then I can always shoot at whoever's over at B. And that's important. That's the main lesson for battleships on this map here. I see it all the time, that you know, they like stick themselves to an island, and the island blocks like 50, 60, 70% of their where they can actually put shells. And they're just in awful positions where they cannot back up their teammates. And that's just it with this map here. I guess that's why most people hate it. Because it's not easy. Definitely not, especially the B spawn in a battleship. Yeah, you're going to take some incoming fire for sure. But you're in a battleship, so I mean, what's the big deal? Now, I did have very good spawn mates over here on the A cap. I mean, the destroyer, he went in, he capped, the cruiser went in to the cap as well. I covered the cruiser, and the cruiser spotted the destroyer. We removed the destroyer, we grabbed the cap, and the flank is now completely ours. And I mean, we're about neck on neck in ships and on points as well. We need to grab a cap here. The Reds have 2, we only have 1. So that's why, like, obviously once you secure a flank, like when it's opportune to do so, you keep moving. If you're behind on points, like I see that also all the time on this map here. Even when, you know, for example, one of the teams grabs A or C, and they just stay there, even when they're behind on points, because they're too scared to cross the open sea between the caps, which is something that you will have to do on this map here if you want to win. And yeah, like I said, it's a difficult map, so yeah, don't be too timid on Shards. It's actually quite easy to be a battleship on this map here, because the map is small. You can almost reach all ships. I mean, I can cover 2/3 of the maps, and I'm just outside the A cap here. And really, like, it's not you know, rocket science to figure out, like, hey, where can I, you know, put my shells and I get the greatest benefit from my limited salvos, because most battleships gets about 30 salvos per game, so you have to make them count, and you have to be in a position where you can actually fire all the time in a battleship. Like right now, I'm desperately looking for a target because I don't have anything to fire at, and that's also why I am actually turning my guns to the other side, which takes a long time in battleships, but I don't have anything to shoot at, so that's why. And again, there was a Monaghan spotted out there in the open sea, like 7-8 kilometers from me. But again, I don't really care. I mean, yes, of course I care. There's a destroyer out there, but just keep it in, like, the back of your mind. And I mean, don't just turn tails immediately just because the destroyer is spotted. Because yeah, that's just a bad play in most situations. Like, for example, in this situation here, we need to take a cap. The Reds are ahead on points and they have 2 caps. So, I mean, at this point, it's do or die. If we don't grab a cap now, the Reds will be able to just drag this game out and we will lose. So, like, you have to keep everything in mind when you're playing, and especially in a battleship. Like, it's all ships have strategic decisions to make, and especially battleships, and especially destroyers, cruisers to a lesser degree. So, if you can't do that in the battleship, then I suggest you play something else. And again, Hyuga, it's just an amazing battleship. It's a premium, yes, and if you haven't bought it yet, I highly recommend you buy this ship, because there's just no equal at tier 5. And even at tier 6, it holds its own easily. And I imagine if I was up against tier 7s, I could actually also do pretty well, at least. I mean, it's a great ship, and it's one of the best premiums out there, and if you ask me if it's overpowered, yeah, probably a little bit. I have actually requested the average XP of this particular ship here from Wargaming, and I've got it, but I can't tell you what it is. So you'll just have to, well, you just have to not know, and then just know that I know. But maybe later I'll be allowed to actually share the numbers with you guys, because it's quite interesting, this ship here. Like I said in the beginning, I have about 100 battles in Hyuga now, and I've compared it in my most recent stats extract, which is just a few days old, and my Hyuga outperforms my Yamato. It actually outperforms almost every legendary ship on every metric. Like average damage, average kills, it's far ahead on average kills actually, and average XP, it's also neck and neck with pretty much all the legendary ships, and well, that's quite amazing actually for a tier 5 battleship. I mean, that's like 4 tiers below the legendary tier. So if you haven't bought it, go right out there and buy it, because this is the best tier 5 battleship there is. Especially one point where the ship stands out in my personal stats is the kill-death ratio. Because usually I sit around probably 2 or 3, like in most ships. But this thing here is nearly 7. Like it's 6.6, I think. So that means every time I get sunk in this ship, I've sunk almost 7 other ships. And like no other ship in my stats collection comes even close to that. I think Giulio Cesare is the closest one at around a kill-death ratio of 4, I believe, something like that. But Hyuga is just so far ahead of everybody else. And it's down to like the number of guns, the quite fast reload, of course the reload boost as well, and then the accuracy of the ship. And then also the fact that it's really sturdy. It's really only if you're flat broadside and you make a terrible mistake that you're gonna get punished in this ship here. And of course, if you play well, you're not even going to have to worry about that. So it's hard to sink, and at the same time, it's very easy to sink other ship in this ship here. It's especially easy to sink cruisers down here at tier 5, because cruisers are just cannon fodder at these tiers here, and like battleships, all you have to do is shoot at the cruisers, and then if RNG is with you, you'll citadel them. That's it. There's nothing more to it really. And the cruisers don't have, there's no Clevelands or Worcesters or Minotaurs or Des Moines or anything like that down here. The cruisers are woefully underpowered compared to the battleships. So when you play a battleship at tier 5, tier 4, well, like you're king of the ocean really. I was thinking of using this tier 5 battleship for the one-on-one ranked at tier 5 here that's coming up in the next update. But then again, I think I usually play cruisers in those things because I mean, you have an answer to everything. Like if you're up against a battleship, it's quite easy. If you're up against a cruiser, it's like child's play. If you're up against another cruiser, then that's when it starts to be actually more like a 50-50 if you're against a good player. Battleships, I don't know. If you're up against a destroyer, it's kind of an unfair battle, I think. So that's why I probably won't be picking Hyuga. And I imagine that you would probably be facing a lot of other Hyugas as well if you pick that ship. So I think I will stick to my usual guns for that ranked and play cruisers. And at tier 5 I'll probably play Exeter actually. So we're nearing the end of the battle here, and like I said, the guys I spawned with over in A, they were excellent. It's so nice to have good teammates that actually know what they're supposed to do, and then when you back them up and everything just works out beautifully, it's such a good feeling, and that's probably the main reason most people actually play this game here. It doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, it's it's nice. Well, it happens more often if you play in a division, of course. So we got a 4th kill there, no Kraken unfortunately, but it doesn't matter. We could probably have exchanged that B cap for a Kraken if we really wanted to, but getting a cap is more XP, so I always go for the caps. So that was Hyuga here, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you out there.